Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Bounce Podcast. This is Jabari Anderson with the co-host Loreal. We got a special guest in the building. He is on his bio. He is a producer of Warner Media and NBA TV. The man is also a creator and one of the founders of NBA Fan Club. Welcome, a special guest, Isaiah Johnson. Welcome to the show, man.
Oh, thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. I heard this one of the hottest shows out right now, man. So happy to be here.
Yes, guaranteed it's hot.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you for once again being part of this. So I guess we can get started right now. For you being a sports fan and for a long time, especially you got the Miami Heat hat on, man. What made you and other creators being a part of Fan Club? What made you guys want to create NBA Fan Club?
Yeah, well, so, as you know, the pandemic was happening back in March, and it was throughout the entirety of 2020. And I got on Clubhouse through a friend. Shout out to Nazarene Grant, who's a good friend of mine. She invited me to Clubhouse, and, I like to be intentional with my time. I like to be intentional with my time. So, as you know, everything was stagnant. A lot of things were dormant. The world was, it was a pandemic, it was closed. So obviously, social media was huge during that, during that time. So when I got on Clubhouse, I had noticed that, this was a cool platform where everybody had an opportunity to have a voice. Not only you had an opportunity to voice, you had an opportunity to conversate about your favorite topics, things that interest you. So I wanted to be intentional with my time. I didn't want to get on Clubhouse and just play around and just be, obviously that's cool too, but I was trying to make the most of my time. So I saw it as an opportunity where I noticed that at the time, there was no basketball content on Clubhouse. There was nobody discussing NBA basketball. And I thought that was very interesting and rare because NBA is a powerful sport. It's one of the most fan engaging sports. So myself, I was in the lab just cooking. I always create content. I'm always thinking of ideas, thinking of things. And, I was like, man, what can I create where we could build a community for the fans of the game, right? From a fan perspective. There's a lot of fans in the NBA, but a lot of times the fans don't get a chance to voice, their takes. So I came up with the idea where I wanted to create something that was universal and a name that resonated with everyone. So I just came up with the club, NBA Fan Club. And it's one of those things where I created it and it started off just like hit the ground running from the minute I created it, where people was coming in, engaging. And it blew up, you know what I'm saying? And it's one of those things where it just kind of blew up out of nowhere, to be honest with you. Because I really had no intentions on growing Fan Club and making it a true staple. I was just creating content for the fans, for the people, and, creating basketball. So, that's how they came about. Just saw the opportunity and created something that would resonate with, a community, a culture.
So speaking of the fans, how have you felt that the NBA Fan Club has been progressing? And over, the time of doing this, have you had any outrageous or wild takes from anybody?
Oh yeah, no doubt. Well, I have quite a few partnerships through Fan Club, sponsorships, partnerships. So you definitely get wild takes. I actually partner up with the Shadow League. So the Shadow League has a platform, shadowleague.com, where they cover sports. NBA Fan Club has its own forum where we give the craziest takes of the week, the hot takes of the week, the takes that fans said. And listen, you got some takes that just don't make no sense. Some of these takes, I'd be like, come on, man. You got to have some, this take need to make some sense. You know what I'm saying? So we've had some wild takes in there, but all in all, it's just been a great joy to be a part of it. And yeah, man, like I said, it really has opened up a lot of doors.
What's the wildest take that you could just think of from the top of your head where you were just like, what?
The wildest take? the wildest take we've gotten, man, we get some wild takes in there, man. I will say the wildest take I've heard was, let me see. Let me see, Jabari, you in there, man. You heard some wild takes.
Oh,
feel free to share.
Oh man,
yeah, feel free to share while I'm thinking. I know you heard some wild takes. Jabari, you having some wild takes too, but he be having good takes though, man. I like Jabari takes.
Yeah, I remember one time. No, I'll say this. I remember one time there was a wild take where someone, you probably weren't there, but somebody says that by the end of his career, Luka Doncic would be the greatest player of all time.
Yeah, yes, I've definitely heard that take. I heard that. Now Luka is a beast, but
yeah,
the greatest player of all time. I mean, you got to win multiple rings, and I don't know if I see that for Luka. You know, but I think a wild take I heard was that let me see. I've heard Kyrie Irving is overrated. We've heard to me that's a bad take. Kyrie's that guy. Man. I would say when it comes to me, I think of it because it's so many bad takes in there. I mean, not bad takes, wild takes. Everybody has good takes. But when I think of it, it'll come to me.
No, wait. Now, I remember one time this got like crazy in the room when our boy Jason, he said that Draymond Green was a better basketball player than Anthony
There we
Davis.
Go. Call him out, Jabari. That was one of the wildest takes.
Yeah.
Draymond Green is a better basketball player than Anthony Davis. That's one of the wildest takes. For sure.
That's outrageous.
But he had to double down on that and double back on that take because when AD came out and destroyed Phoenix, he had to say, okay, all right, you know. So he had to double back on that take.
Yeah, because I remember when he was bringing up one of his points, obviously he was talking about defense and about shutting people down. He brought up the fact that it's like if we play a pickup game and someone says that someone is better than who, and I lock you down, then how I'm not better than you? That's what he was saying. Right.
And see, the thing with Draymond is a great player, right? Draymond to me is underrated. I think that his offensive game has taken a step back, but he's a great player. You know, this guy is able to play lockdown defense. He can play defense on your best defender. You know, he's able to switch. He's able to. He's a great passer. He has great vision, and his IQ is so high because listen, you have to have IQ in the game of basketball. When to know cuts, when to make the right pass. So his IQ is top notch. So I would definitely never tell you Draymond. Shout out to Draymond Green.
Yeah. He's from Saginaw, Michigan. So Michigan State University, Spartan. So we know about Draymond, especially if you talk to people from Saginaw, they'll tell you about Draymond Green, like for sure. But yeah, that was just a real hot take. But
speaking of Draymond Green, man, we working. Shout out to my guy Nick Matthews. We working to try to get Draymond Green on NBA Fan Club.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was one.
That would be great.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah. One thing that I really like about NBA Fan Club is that you're able to get people who, you know, work with the NBA, whether they're, you know, former basketball player or they are a reporter. You know, how are you, like, what is it like always trying to get people who associate with the NBA to come and, you know, talk to us in NBA Fan Club?
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. You know, I would say relationships, right? So for me, when Fan Club was growing, right? So I have other things going on outside of Clubhouse, right? So it was hard for me to try to manage all of these programming shows, bringing in people, because like I said, I'm juggling other things. So I had to create a team. It's so important when you create a podcast, a show, it's so important you have a partner and you have a team. Because I just want to be clear, Fan Club has not grown to the level it has because of myself. It's been so many contributions from Jared Adams. Shout out to Jared Adams who helps run Fan Club with me. He's like my partner in crime. And shout out to Marcel Alexander, But then it got to the point where we wanted to foster and build relationships with other people that we met through Clubhouse, or that I met through at NBA TV, Warner Media, and we wanted to bring that exclusivity to Fan Club. We wanted to have different guests in different arenas of the game. So whether that's an NBA athlete, whether that's a reporter, whether that's an NBA insider, whether that's just a fan of the game, or somebody who's just, who's close to the game. So you have to have the relationships with people. One, you have to have the relationships, and you have to have the right content, right? What content are you bringing where you can get a writer on? You know what I'm saying? You can get a player on, and, we're going to continue to bring on athletes, writers, reporters as Clubhouse begins to open up to the public, because, it will open up. So we will continue to bring on guests and athletes. But I would say, to answer your question, building relationships with people and making phone calls, because all it takes is somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And then you just, you reach out, and, you sit out a proposal, and you put it together, and then they come on if they're interested.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I like the most, is that you're able to get these people who are currently in the NBA or has a relationship with the NBA, and then you bring them here. That's the one that I like. Like, can you name me, like, give me examples of somebody you would say, like, wow, like, I'm so happy, like, he was able to be on NBA Fan Club?
I would say it was dope when we had, it was dope to see Ray Allen. Ray Allen follows Fan Club, so it was dope to see Ray Allen follow Fan Club. I really enjoy Sean Marion. So Sean Marion is an NBA champ. He came in frequently. I really enjoyed Sean Marion because he always had good takes, and he would challenge everyone's takes. So, you had to have good conversation to be able to conversate with the likes of Sean Marion. So I would say I really enjoyed Sean Marion. I really enjoyed Ray Allen. And who else, man? I really enjoyed Chris Haynes came through. That was dope, having Chris Haynes come through. But I would say Marion for the top of my list.
There was one time when you brought up, one time we had a conversation about AllStar, and even if you a one-time AllStar, players, they care about AllStar. And I remember that conversation you put down on NBA Fan Club, that, like, there's one player, like, it doesn't matter if he says one-time, two-star, like, they care about being an all-star.
Oh yeah, Cedric Ceballos. Yes, yeah. No, that's a good point. So it's so funny that you say that. So I met Cedric Ceballos, who's the former NBA slam dunk champ, through a mutual friend, through Clubhouse. Someone reached out to me and was like, hey, you should meet Earl Patton. Earl Patton done some work in the NBA. He was like, yo, you guys should collaborate with Cedric Ceballos, get him on there. So I remember talking to Sid, and Sid, I reached out to him, and I was like, Sid, I got you all ready to go for this weekend. I got the title locked in. Former slam dunk champ Cedric Ceballos. He said, hey, bro, I'm an all-star. Make sure you let them know I'm an all-star. I was like, my bad, man. Listen, I ain't know it was taking that serious. You know what I'm saying? So they take that serious, man. It's an accomplishment to be an all-star, whether it's one time or two times. So I feel it.
I think it's just interesting to see how Clubhouse just developed this whole entire community, because especially during the pandemic, everybody was just sitting in the house being bored. We didn't even know what basketball was even going to come back. And now that it's finally back, we can still develop these, flourishing connections. Just how fortunate you are to have something like Clubhouse, where you can meet all different kinds of people, even people like Ray Allen or Sean Marion, where you probably dreamed that you can actually get to talk to them.
Oh man, it's a blessing, 100%. Because just a little bit about me. So I had, growing up, I've always wanted to be a sports reporter. Like, that was essentially what I had visioned for myself. but then I started pursuing acting, and I got into the acting career, the film industry. So I kind of shifted away from the reporter aspect of it, because I like to think of myself as somebody who is different. Like, I don't want to be I don't want to be what society says you have to be, or I don't want to be what someone says you have to be. And notice when you see sports reporters, it's a routine. You know, you're reporting, you're covering the game. So I wanted to be different. You know what I'm saying? So, which is why I ended up started producing. I started doing some freelance work at NBA TV. And I got in the door and started creating some segment ideas, content ideas, producing highlights, really working behind the scenes. So my passion was always truly sports. But I wanted to have my own show. I always wanted to have my own platform, as opposed to being a reporter, right? Because when you're a reporter, you don't have your own show, you're featured. So shout out to Jared Adams. We're always creating. Like, we're always figuring out, boom, how can we create? So Clubhouse ended up being a blessing, because Jared and I had came up with a show, which I can't reveal just yet, show idea for the platform, Bleacher Report, NBA TV, NBA.com, right? Since we in the door, we like, yo, we got something we can create for the culture. Let's create an actual show idea. So we created a show, we shot it, we pitched it, we edited it, and we bodied the pitch. So much so they was like, this is something we want to pick up. Post-pandemic, it's fire. This is something we want to pick up. But here, I'm going somewhere with this. It was right on time, because I had created Fan Club. Now, mind you, I'm just a creator. I ain't got no household name. I ain't come from family where I was born into riches and success and relationships. You know, I had to grind and get it from the mud. So I created Fan Club. That had grew. Now I created a platform where it's like, boom, this guy was able to create a platform and build a community on Clubhouse, thousands of people, and he's creating these other programming show ideas that is fire. You know, these guys are the real deal. You know what I mean? So Clubhouse gave me so much leverage. Fan Club has gave me leverage, and Clubhouse gave me leverage in terms of being a creator. You know what I'm saying? So it has certainly opened up the doors. And what I'll share with you guys is some motivation is continue. What you guys doing right now, incredible. I have to, this is fire, this is dope. I'm supporting it all day, every day. Continue to build those relationships and create content, because consistency is key. Consistency is key. And create content that is relevant and that what people want to hear. People want to hear. When you do that, you're going to get attention. You're going to get the eyeballs. You're going to get the views. You're going to get the follows, because people want to hear it. And you guys are already likable people. So once you got that, once you got those charming skills on top of being a great host, a great talent, a great creator, the sky's the limit.
He's dropping gems.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Now, I got to bring this up, man, because I know that you got the Miami Heat hat right there. And I remember during the season, you was raving about, I'm just going to tell people about this. You said that they were going to win the NBA championship. Let's not forget that. The Miami Heat was going to win the championship after what happened in the bubble last year. You said they're going to beat Bucks. They're going to beat Brooklyn. They're going to beat whoever's in their way.
Listen, I can explain. All right. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I love to be called out, right? So I went on Clubhouse. I went to NBA Fan Club in the beginning of the year, and said the Miami Heat would win the championship. Here's my reasons why. One, they just came off an incredible finals run. Some people call it a bubble fluke. And came off an incredible finals run. They were super talented. And with the addition of Victor Oladipo, I thought he added another dimension to the team. In fact, he did add another dimension of the team, a playmaker, a ball handler, someone who can give you 20, 25. Now, I had no idea this guy couldn't stay on the floor no more than 5 games. So I was confident, very confident. And you know what? It's a little biased too, all right? It's a little, I'm not gonna front act like there's no bias. But at the same time, I had reasons to stand on. And let me tell you, I apologize to everybody in the fan club community on that take because it was an embarrassing look for me. But you know what? When they got swept, we went on fan club and created a room called the Miami Heat Should Be Embarrassed of Themselves. We called them out. So as much as we gave them love, we said we called them out as well. And I believe next year, let me tell you, watch out. Then we'll be back in the mix.
So you a Miami Heat fan?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I'm saying it right now on the Bounce Show. The Miami Heat will be in the conference finals next year.
Oh!
I'm saying it right now. Believe, hey, Pat Riley is a mastermind. Listen, they got swept. He's getting ready to revamp that team in the offseason. Watch. Don't be surprised if you see Kyle Lowry in the uniform. Don't be surprised if you see Spencer Dinwiddie. Don't be surprised if you see Ibaka, or not all of these guys, but one or.
Okay, because I'm like, all these guys?
No.
That Riley is a genius, but let's pump the brakes real quick.
Right.
That's a lot. That's a lot, brother.
That's a lot.
Because when the Heat got swept, there was like so many Miami Heat fans coming. I was looking like there's a lot of Heat fans in this club. Like they was really like y'all was really conservative.
Let me ask you guys, what are y'all team? Who is your team?
Oh.
Go ahead, Loreal.
Well, I don't have a team right now because the way that I'm going with my career, I just enjoy the game. I have so many players, especially young players, Luka, Trae Young, Devin Booker, which we'll talk about later. But my biggest thing that I say is I am a diehard KD fan. I love Kevin Durant. I will rep Kevin Durant until the day that he has to go, retire.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So for her, like when it came to her about, when Kevin Durant went to Golden State and then he went to Brooklyn and all that stuff, listen, she was right there on his side.
Yes, right there. Every single time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Listen, KD, we did a room about KD. And listen, I think he cemented himself as the greatest player in basketball right now as we speak.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely.
I thought you about to say that he was the GOAT. I was looking like greatest player. What?
I had to give you suspense.
Yeah. So for me, this is interesting. I mean, like, listen, we're both from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So I've always said, like, that's Pistons the home team. So I'm gonna root for the home team. But outside of Michigan, I've always had, one team in the East and one team in the West. I've always, I've been a fan of the Celtics, and the reason why I became a fan of the Celtics was because of the big three: KG, Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. Like those my peoples that I always appreciated from the Celtics. And then from the West, I've always been a fan of the Spurs. You know what I'm saying? It was like just the way how they played the game. They was different. It seemed like, at that time when they were winning, they were like the mafia crew, and Pop was the godfather. Of course, he had other leaders with Duncan and Parker and Ginobili and eventually Kawhi. So for me, those were my teams that I always roll for, that I always rock for. And obviously for me, like, I don't know about anybody else, but like, even if they left those teams, like, I always feel like to myself, like, I'm gonna roll with those people, wherever team they go to, because they came from the teams that I like. So I'm appreciate them. So like with Kawhi, who's with the Clippers, I'm gonna roll with, I'm gonna say like, yeah, I want to see the Clippers one because, like I said, they got a chance and he's there. Same thing with Rondo. Like for me, Rondo, that made it even better. Like I'm like, Rondo, that's my guy. Like I'm gonna roll with Rondo. You know what I'm saying? And so there's plenty of players I look at. I'll say like I'm gonna support y'all, like no matter what.
Nah, no doubt. Yeah, for sure. And it's unfortunate that Kawhi went down because you can argue, man, the Clippers could potentially be in the finals, man.
Man.
So do you have a ride or die player? Is there one guy where no matter what, you're always rooting for him?
Yeah, I do. I have multiple players that I'm a fan of. So I'll give you the few players that are my favorites. I'm a huge fan of Steph Curry. I just like Steph Curry, the way he played the game of basketball, so beautiful. But also love what he does off the court with his family, a family man, how he treats his wife, how he treats his kids, how he has a lot of great foundations, how he does a lot for the community. So for me, I like what Steph Curry. I love Steph Curry. Also a man of faith too, which I have the utmost respect for. Damian Lillard, Dame time. It's Dame time. You got. To me, if you don't respect Dame, I gotta question you, man. I'm questioning people that don't respect Dame because Dame is a hardcore winner. Regardless if he gets bounced in the first or second round, he's a winner. So Dame time for sure. Supporting Dame, LBJ, man, LeBron James. I'm a fan of LeBron, and truthfully, I only became a fan of LeBron when he came to the Heat. So when somebody comes to your team, you get a chance to get to know them because you're watching the post games, the conferences, you're watching the pregame conferences, you're watching all of the inside scoop. You know what I'm saying? You're following the team social media. So you get a chance to get to know players personally. And I became a fan of LeBron when he joined the Heat. So LeBron, Dame, Steph Curry is in my top three my players that I would root for, support.
So with LeBron being out of the first round, unfortunately, due to injuries and all of that, do you think that Father Time is getting really close for him?
So when you deal with a high ankle sprain injury, right? So I played ball and I've had a high ankle sprain. A high ankle sprain is not nothing to be played with because you are limited on your mobility. So I do believe that the injury affected him. So I'm not going to say like he's done. But I do believe from what I've seen in the playoffs, LeBron can't do it by himself anymore. So I believe he is aging. And I do think his window is closing within the next 2-3 years max. So I think if LeBron is going to win any more rings, it has to be within the next year or two.
Sound like a AD health thing right there.
AD has to get it together, man, because if AD can't be healthy next year again, and I pray and hope that AD doesn't go down with another injury because injuries suck for the game. AD has to get healthy because LeBron will not win without Anthony Davis.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's like the issue right there. Because I know that sometimes when you're in year 18 and now he's going to year 19, like it's so much that a player can do, especially when sometimes his body is going to wear down. And like I said, Anthony Davis, like he's 28 years old, like he should be in better shape.
Yeah, but he always had, even his days when you date back to his New Orleans days, he always had these injuries that will follow him in his career. So he's always been an injury prone, and in the words of Charles Barkley, they call him street clothes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Now you being a Miami Heat fan, obviously there was we let's be real. 2010, LeBron comes to Miami Heat. Obviously, we all know the news there. It became such a big deal. The super teams, everything. People think that LeBron started the super team. What's your opinion about super teams in the NBA?
I think that I'm okay with it as long as there's balance, as long as there's teams that can actually compete against them. right? So I look at Kevin Garnett, I look at Ray Allen, I look at Paul Pierce. Like, they were a super team, but they also lost. They lost to the Lakers. So they had competition. So I look at the Miami Heat. They were a super team. They also lost 2 finals, right? They lost in 2 finals, but they're a super team. So I look at Golden State Warriors. Now, that team was unreal. That team, you can say that team was unfair, right? Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green was just out of this mind. And they went undefeated together. Now, obviously, when Kevin Durant went down, that changed, that whole trajectory of that team. But I'm okay with super teams, but I think we need more balance. I think if we're going to have super teams, like at least allow every team in the NBA to be a super team, which that's not possible, of course, but at least make it 50% where it's anybody up for grabs. Let's be honest. Kyrie Irving plays this series against the Milwaukee Bucks. They most likely 80% will win this series. They were up 2-0 with Kyrie, and James Harden wasn't even healthy. So to me, I think there was no balance there, but it's also, that's also, that also, it's too premature to say because you never know. They could have knocked off Milwaukee and went up against Phoenix or Clippers with a healthy Kawhi and potentially lost. So I just want balance and competition.
Oh, I mean, Loreal, we talked about this. If Brooklyn was healthy and they would have lost, they would have been killed. Okay, it would have been over.
Yeah,
that team was unreal.
It was definitely unreal. So let's just look at how the playoffs are right now. So we got Clippers and the Suns right now, Western Conference Finals. We got Hawks and the Bucks right now, Eastern Conference Finals. Just looking at how the series are going, how are you feeling about those series? And, what is your prediction, if you have any, for the finals?
Yeah, so I would say this is a very odd year in the NBA, right? I've been covering the NBA and watching the NBA for years. And I would say it is a little, I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but it feels a little different. There's no LeBron out there. There's no Curry. There's no KD. I'm still remaining out there. There's, you know what I mean? The greats are not out there. Right now, we're seeing guys who have never gotten this far in their career outside of Kawhi Leonard, right? But Kawhi Leonard's out. So I think that it is an odd time, but however, it is a great time because I'm looking at the Atlanta Hawks and they shining in this moment. So you love to see it. You know what I mean? I'm looking at Chris Paul and D Book. They're finally getting their moment. So it's like, you love to see it. I'm looking at Giannis. Giannis has finally gotten in a position where he can potentially favored to win it all. Now, some people got the Hawks winning. I'm going to go on record and say I got the Hawks winning that series, which the Bucks should win that series. But I feel that these are the 4 remaining teams left in the NBA because of circumstances. Now, injuries are part of the game. I do believe if everybody was healthy, I do believe some of these teams will not be in the mix, maybe the Clippers, and potentially the Suns too. But I would say this now. I think the Suns is the most unluckiest team of all time to go up against no Anthony Davis in the Lakers, no Jamal Murray in the Denver Nuggets, who's an all-star caliber point guard, and no Kawhi Leonard, a two-time Finals MVP, right? So I believe the Suns are a great team, but they had the luck of the draw. So I believe the Suns will win the finals against the Atlanta Hawks. That's my prediction.
So this is for you, Isaiah. So do you feel that, the Hawks and the Suns be in this position? Do you think it's more because of these injuries to these major stars? Or do you actually believe that they have truly worked their way to get to this point?
I believe the Suns worked their way to get to this point. And the reason why is because they battled all year to be the number 2 seed. At the end of the day, they beat the team that was in front of them. And They had to play the Lakers. They knocked off LeBron. They had to play the MVP. They swept the Nuggets. Now they're playing the Clippers, who's a very deep team. You know, obviously Kawhi Leonard's not out there, but they're a very deep team. So I believe they played the opponents in front of them, and I believe they deserve to be there. 100% for the Suns. In terms of the Hawks, so impressed by the Atlanta Hawks. I am beyond impressed. I actually had them whooping up on the Knicks. So I knew that they would beat the Knicks because they were too talented. They had too many weapons. Now the Sixers, I was never a believer on the Sixers, but for them to go in Philadelphia and win 2 games on the road and a game 7, the Hawks are well more than deserving to be where they at right now. And people sleeping on the Hawks. I'm not sleeping. I think Trae Young is that guy. I think Trae Young is next in line. And look, when you got a guy, Trae Young is the 3rd player in NBA history to score 48 points in a conference finals. There was only 2 players that have been able to do that. And it's LeBron James, and I believe it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it's LeBron. I should have that on. I was just watching the stat the other day. But LeBron and another great, right?
Kobe.
Who was it?
It was Kobe.
Kobe. Sorry, Kobe. Rest in peace, my guy Kobe. LeBron and Kobe. Now, only 2 players get to sit at a certain type of table. Kobe and LeBron. Trae Young can now have a seat at the table. I can't sit at the table. Luka can't sit at that table. You know what I'm saying? So Trae Young, at the end of the day, he's sitting at the table with greats. Granted, he's only under 23, but he has an opportunity to sit at the table at greats so early on in his career. I believe that the Hawks are more deserving to get here. And to be quite honest with you, I'm enjoying their run, and I would love to see them continue to go deeper in the playoffs. And I am calling it in now. I have the Hawks winning in 6-7 games against the Milwaukee Bucks.
Do you think that? Excuse me. Do you think that it's more so? I mean, I think the reason why people are sleeping on the Hawks. Well, I would say for myself, like, listen, I feel like the Hawks are the Warriors of the East, but however, I do look at as this, like, they beat the 76ers. Well, for me, I was never a true believer of the 76ers. So it's kind of like, yeah, you beat the 76ers, but I mean, a team that was more talented was supposed to, but they just showcased, well, this is the reason why the 76ers are not supposed to be taken seriously. So don't you ever think to yourself, like, maybe it's because, like, the teams they go against, they're not really for real as they are supposed to be?
Yeah, but the Sixers were a number 1 seed. That's one. And I agree with you. I actually don't believe the Sixers were legit. But when it comes to the Bucks swept the Miami Heat. Regardless of how you frame it, that was a huge, huge series for them because the Heat just knocked them off the year before. And there was a lot of pressure. So they swept the Miami Heat, right? Then you go up against the Brooklyn Nets. At the end of the day, they did their job and went in Brooklyn and set in 7. And regardless if Kevin Durant was a tippy toe behind the line, they went and handled business and knocked off Kevin Durant and James Harden. So the Bucks, I believe, are a true legit team. Atlanta went in Milwaukee and stole game 1 and said, hey, everybody, we're here. We're here. And I got to be honest with you. Game 2 is going to be a great game because if the Hawks can go in there and take another one and steal another one, if I'm the Hawks, I have the mindset where if I'm the head coach, fellas, we stole game 1, people doubted us. Let's go get game 2 and let people know we're not to be played with. I wouldn't go in there like, we got 1 game, we can go home now. I would go in there like, let's go steal game 2. So I think it's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a great game tonight.
Well, Trae Young definitely didn't have that mindset. He told everybody just won. So who do you have for game 2 then?
I got the Bucks winning game 2.
Okay. I thought this man about to, I was thinking myself like, is this guy really about to say the Hawks again?
Right, me too.
I got the Bucks winning game 2.
Okay. You know, it's speaking of, I know that you brought up the coach a little bit, but I mean, Nate McMillan, you know, first he was the coach with the Pacers, and now he was assistant coach for the Hawks, and then all of a sudden you saw him going with the, you know, he was the actual, now he's the head coach. He's, like I said, him, Monty Williams, and Ty Lue, 3 black head coaches that are in the conference finals. I mean, like there's a handful of black coaches in the NBA. Why do you think that we are not seeing enough black coaches in the NBA? Where in the NBA, there's like over 80% of players who are black?
Yeah, that's a good question, Jabari. That's a great question. You know, I mean, we live in a society where, as an African American, you have to work harder than you know, someone who is, you know, privileged. And I think that no matter what professional career you're in, the African American and black coaches and black athletes and creators have to work harder to get to where they at, you know, because that's just how the United States have been operating. And not to get too political, but you know, I would say that I would say that a lot of owners, I believe there's one black owner, and matter of fact, shout out to Dwayne Wade, who's now a part-time owner of the Utah Jazz.
Yeah. Salute
which
to
is
Dwayne
a great,
Wade.
Yeah, salute to D Wade. Michael Jordan is the only majority owner in the NBA. And unfortunately, there's 29 owners in the league that are white. And they have the power. They have the power. They sign these checks. You know, they're clearing who can be employed. So I think that it has to change from the top. It has to change with ownership. I think that there needs to be more black owners. And I think if we see more black owners, we'll see more black NBA coaches, black coaches. But I'm looking at the Final Four right now, and I'm saying we got Monty Williams, who's a black coach in the Phoenix Suns. We got Tyronn Lue, who is the head coach of the Los Angeles Clippers. We got the Atlanta Hawks, and we got 3 black coaches right now in the Final Four. If that is not telling, I don't know what else is. And hopefully the narrative is changing. Shout out to Brad Stevens. Who would have thought he would hire a black coach?
Oh, yeah, sure. Udaka, yeah, shout out to him.
Correct. So Udaka. So I think times are changing. Obviously, we have a lot of more work to do. A lot. We're not, Kumbaya is not going to happen overnight. But I do believe that it's changing, and the C3 black coaches in the Final Four should be encouraging to other owners and say, you know what? These guys are capable. These guys are smart. These guys are relatable. These guys are likable. And these guys know what they're doing. And maybe we see more black coaches and general managers as well, more presidents. You know, shout out to James Jones for the Phoenix Suns winning the Executive of the Year. So, you know, hopefully these accomplishments will open up more doors. You know, and I would hope to see that.
You know, that's a very good point to say, and to also be related to everything. You know, a couple weeks ago, or I want to say last month, Naomi Osaka, chose that she didn't want to speak to the media, you know, just because they're, you know, obviously because of mental health issues and everything. And now she got fined, and then she had to withdraw from the French Open, and then she decided she wasn't going to play tennis until the Olympics. And there's a lot of people talk about, you know, about the media and athletes, you know, and everything. Do you believe that athletes should be required to speak to the media if they are playing?
I believe, well, here's the thing. When you sign a contract, when you're employed by your employer, there's requirements, there's regulations, and there's rules that are mandated. And I do believe if you're paid to do a job, you're paid to play basketball, but not only you're paid to play basketball, you're paid to do other things associated with basketball, press conferences, interviews. I think interviews are great because we get to see the player's perspective, whether they like it or not. And I know some do and some some don't. But I believe if you're obligated contractually, I think you should meet those obligations. If I sign a contract and my contract is to be a basketball player, I know that I know I have a lot of spotlight on me. So with spotlight comes attention, and with attention, comes interviews and come people want to hear from you. So I do believe that if you're contractually obligated, I do believe you should speak to the media. However, I do believe the media needs to do a better job in conducting interviews and the way they treat athletes. I watched the entire Allen Iverson interview when he was talking about practice, right? And some people would only see that 1 or 2 minute clip. I watched that entire 59-minute video on YouTube, and some of the questions that they were asking Allen Iverson was out of control. It was self-centered. It was clickbait. And it was almost like they were trying to, get the athlete to say something that they shouldn't be saying. And to me, I don't really agree with that. I think if you're given a platform to get a chance to interact with the athlete, ask impactful, meaningful questions and not trying to get clickbaits. And I think that's why athletes feel like the media is trying to change the narrative or change my words. We see it all the time. And I think that's why athletes don't really rock with the media, is because the media changes the narrative and it's clickbait, and they try to make players look bad with their quotes. So I think if you're contractually obligated, yes, I also think that the media needs to be held accountable as well with some of their questions that they're asking these guys.
Yeah, that's a good point to say, because it's just like with Marshawn Lynch. There was a point in time he didn't want to talk to the media, and then to not get fined, he just went there and said, "I'm just here so I don't get fined." And now everybody has a problem with him because he doesn't want to answer the questions that they gave him, but he just here so he just don't get fined.
Hey, he met his contractual obligations. He showed up and he responded to every question. It may not be the response you wanted, but he met his contractual obligations. And at the end of the day, I respect it. I have no problem with it because that's how that man feels. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. That's
another thing I do want to bring up is that we have the Olympics that's coming up. It's coming up in a few months in August. And obviously, not everybody could come in, unless you live in Japan. But however, Japan has made it very clear that they don't want, I just didn't say Japan necessarily, but the Olympics, the IOC, they want to make sure that that you cannot kneel or protest or have any Black Lives Matter gear during the Olympics. Do you feel like that this is a bad move for the IOC to do that in the Olympics? Just for athletes to do something like that?
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That was actually my first time hearing that they're requiring that and obligating that, mandating that. I don't really understand their point of view, but if I had to, look at it from their standpoint, maybe they just don't want to bring the politics involved. They just want to keep it strictly sports. And that's totally understandable. But at the end of the day, like, there's more than just basketball outside of this world. You know, there's brothers out here day to day have to deal with racial injustice. There's brothers who have to deal with police encounters, unbiased police encounters. There's brothers that have to deal with just being judged, and being looked at in a stereotype manner. So I don't agree with it for sure, because and shout out to all the athletes and Chris Paul who pioneered Black Lives Matter and support us as African Americans, because that's so important. And when you have a voice and when you have a platform, you have to utilize it. And that's why I have so much respect for Bron, because he does such that with no shame and no fear. So I believe that it's a intriguing move, but at the same time, it's a different country. And I can understand they just don't want the politics. They just want to enjoy the activities and the excitement of Olympic basketball.
But do you ever wonder to yourself why these institutions are so adamant to separate the politics in sports, where in a lot of cases, like the NBA, it's so hard to not get the politics involved in sports, like you just mentioned?
Yeah, because listen, it's all about money, right? It's about money. And what makes money? Sports. What makes money? It's ticket sales. What's divisive? Politics. So we all can come under one roof when we go into these arenas and we go into these basketball conversations. We all have one common goal, and that's to talk sports, watch sports, enjoy sports. Like, whether you white, Black, Asian, Chinese, Hispanic, whatever, right? One common goal is sports. We all can be excited about sports. We all can come under one umbrella, regardless of your beliefs, regardless of your views, regardless of what you believe in. So when politics come involved, that creates the division, and division creates, divisiveness. So I think that's one of the reasons why institutions try to stay away from it, because when you have divisiveness, you lose money. And that's why you see guys like, I'm not watching the NBA no more, because the politics involved, because their views is now involved. It's no longer their enjoyment of sports and watching the game. It's now their beliefs and their feelings. And when your feelings and beliefs get involved to politics, you lose consumers. And I think that's probably the reason why they try to keep it out of it, so they don't lose no money.
Well, shoot. Well, you could ask China, because I know one thing: when it comes to business, they definitely don't want no politics involved.
No, but listen, they all about the money.
Yeah. And
I ain't mad at them, but at the same time, sometimes you gotta talk about the politics. You gotta talk about what's really going on. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm a proponent of having tough conversations, having hard conversations, because you can't be productive if you don't talk about it. How can you not discuss the elephant in the room? How can you not discuss reality? You have to have hard conversations. So, some institutions are like, hey, I don't want to have hard conversations. I just want to make money.
So I just got some news. Jason Kidd is now the new head coach for the Dallas Mavericks now. So that's another Black coach that will be there. They'll be there. So since we got that news, how do you think that listen, Jason Kidd, he's going to be working with Luka, and listen, he's been a head coach with Giannis. He's worked with as an assistant coach with LeBron James. How do you think that Jason Kidd is going to work with Luka Doncic in Dallas?
I think he'll work really well, and here's why. Sometimes players and creators and athletes and pioneers and whatever field you in, and when you're great at something, right? When you're one of the few that can do something, right? Or you're one of the few that when you're in a class by yourself, you need someone you can respect, not someone that you probably see as, maybe not on the same level as you. And that sucks. It sucks to say that, but Luka Doncic is a superstar. He's a bona fide superstar, right? And again, I don't know what happened in Dallas, so I can't speculate on why Rick Carlisle decided to step down. And the general manager also decided to part ways. But what I know for sure is one thing you can't put a price on is respect. And Jason Kidd has respect in the NBA, right? This guy is a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest point guards to play this game, top 5 in assists, and he's a winner as well. So, and he's a champion too. Jason Kidd is an NBA champion. So let's not forget that. And he won in Dallas. So I think that it's going to fare very well for Luka. I think it was a good move for Dallas and Mark Cuban, who I'm a fan of, because Jason Kidd has the respect of the organization. And I'm sure he has Luka's respect on his accomplishments, being someone who's been there and done it before. So I think it's a good move for Dallas.
So what do you think about Rick Carlisle going to the Pacers? So he's been he coached for the Pacers before, between 2004 and 2007. And,
I think it's a good move. I actually think Rick Carlisle's a good coach. I actually had no problem with him, remaining as the head coach for the Dallas Mavericks. I don't think it was the coaching problem. I think that their team was just not constructed right. I don't think Luka had the right pieces around him. They needed another star. I believe if Luka had a Bradley Beal, if he had someone of that caliber, or CJ McCollum even, I believe they advanced against the Clippers. Luka was out there by himself, and shout out to Tim Hardaway Jr., who had incredible games. I believe he was the reason why he went 7 games.
Yeah.
So I think Rick Carlisle's a good coach, and congratulations to him. I think he'll do well in Indiana. I think Indiana won't have a successful year. I think they're going to make a lot of changes. So be on the lookout for a lot of those players that are currently on that roster to, probably be on a new team next season. So I think it's a good move for Rick Carlisle.
All right. Yeah, that's a good point. So listen, we about to be at the end of the interview. Listen, Isaiah, how can people reach you, man? I mean, you're a famous guy, and also not only that, but also you're also an entrepreneur as well. Like, so how can people reach you?
Yeah, for sure, man. You can reach me email at ijohnson2264@gmail.com. You can also reach me on Instagram _IsaiahJ1. Yeah, man. You can also check me out on Twitter as well. I'm on Twitter as well. IsaiahJ _IsaiahJ. So yeah, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and my email is on file on both platforms. So yeah, man, if anybody wants to reach me and just, pick my brain and just see some of the cool things I've accomplished, even as an entrepreneur as well. Because I believe, we all have different gifts. We all have different talents that we can tap into. So, and that's why I love the quote, I'm more than an athlete, so I really respect that from LeBron, because he is more than an athlete. He's a father, he's a businessman. And I believe the same can be applied for many of us all, right? We're more than just creators. We're more than just, what they label us, we're talented. So, I believe in entrepreneurship, and building wealth and financial freedom. I believe in chasing your dreams. I believe in, really, going after what you want and not giving up, not giving up. It's so important that you don't give up, because put in the work and be consistent. Build those relationships. It's so important that you build those relationships. Consistency is so important. Continue to create and continue to market yourself and brand yourself as you want people to see you, right? So, whatever that looks like for you. Continue to market yourself, continue to create, continue to be a pioneer in your field, and be a master at your craft, whatever that is for you. So I know I just went off on a tantrum, but I just wanted to leave some words of encouragement.
Yeah, and another reminder, how can people reach out the NBA fan club?
Absolutely. So NBA fan club, we actually have a website, NBA Fan Clubhouse, NBAFanClubhouse.com, and also NBA Fan Clubhouse at gmail.com. And we are actually about to be doing some incredible things on Fan Club. I believe that this community will continue to grow as the company continue to grow. I also believe that the platform will continue to grow. Shout out to SB Sean Brown, the Clubhouse head of sports. He's a head of sports at Clubhouse, so anybody want to connect with him, super dope guy, somebody who is for the culture. Him and I are really cool. We have a group chat going on, always in communication. So I know he's doing some great things. He has some great things in store, and we have some great things in store as well. So definitely follow Fan Club, be a part of the community. We are live every day after all the breaking news, after every game. The room is always active and going, so definitely check us out. And we look to have some great guests in the future.
All right, well, there you have it, Isaiah Johnson. This guy's an entrepreneur. He's also worked with NBA TV, Warner Media, creator of NBA Fan Club. All right.
Check out show Ruthless as well on BT. I'll be on the show Ruthless as an actor.
All right.
As Jerome. So check out Ruthless as well on BET Plus. And shout out to you, Jabari, as well. And quick shout out to you guys and Lorietta for having me. Great show. You guys are great. You guys are great hosts. And I know you guys are going to do great things, and I wish success on this platform.
Well, we definitely appreciate you. It's the Bounce Podcast. We'll be right back.